And we are continuing to follow breaking news on the death of longtime South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. His office says Graham died last night following a brief and sudden illness. According to CNN, emergency responders were called to his home in Washington, D.C. around 8:30 Saturday night after a report of someone suffering from chest pains. The news of Senator Graham's death broke just before 2 o'clock this morning, and we have continued to learn more about the events leading up to his death. Now, his passing does mark the end of a political career that spanned more than 3 decades and made him one of South Carolina's most influential voices in Washington. Graham first won election to Congress in 1994, representing South Carolina's 3rd District in the U.S. House. 8 years later, he was elected to the U.S. Senate, succeeding Strom Thurmond. And during his time in the Senate, Graham became a leading voice on national security, the judiciary, and foreign policy, establishing himself as one of the most recognizable and influential figures on Capitol Hill. And right now, CBS News correspondent Wendy Gillette has more on his decades in politics.
Long time no see.
Senator Lindsey Graham was in Ukraine meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky just 1 day before his death and a day after his birthday. Graham's office released a statement that says, on the evening of Saturday, July 11, U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham passed away from a brief and sudden illness. Senator Graham's family appreciates prayers at this time and asks for privacy during this incredibly difficult period. Graham's Senate office released the statement of his death just before 2 a.m. Reactions were quickly posted online despite the overnight hours. President Trump wrote, Graham was one of the greatest people and senators he has ever known, always working and a true American patriot. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster shared he and his wife are devastated, writing, Lindsey Graham is irreplaceable, the fiercest of fighters for South Carolina and America, and a loyal and steadfast friend. And Senate Majority Leader John Thune wrote his heart is heavy and that Graham believed in the might of America to achieve good in the world and dedicated his life to advancing that cause. Graham was elected to the Senate in 2002 after serving in the House. He ran for president in 2016, criticizing then-candidate Donald Trump even after dropping out of the race.
I'm trying to get us the most viable nominee for 2016 that could win without destroying the party. I think Trump destroys the party.
But once President Trump was in office, he and Graham formed a tight partnership, and the senator became one of his closest supporters.
One thing I want people to know, I am standing with President Trump.
He called himself a Reagan-style Republican, one of the most powerful lawmakers in the Senate. Lindsey Graham was 71 years old. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
And the moderator of CBS Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan, says she spoke with Graham Friday, and he said he was thrilled to finally have White House support for tariffs on Russian oil producers. Well, President Donald Trump says he spoke with Senator Lindsey Graham just hours before his death and says nothing about their conversation made him believe he was not fine.
Well, it's devastating. I thought he was fine. He called me last night. He just got back from Ukraine, and he had a great trip. He was telling me about the trip. He was pushing very, very hard. You probably know he wanted to do the Save America Act that he was talking about that. He was full of vim and vigor. He was tired. He said, I'm tired because it's a long trip. But other than that, he was fine.
He or she, if you allow Ukraine to start,
I am very optimistic we will break through, and let me tell you why. There's no other solution.
I have been vocal about a national limitation exception.
on Tuesday,
And we are also hearing from Governor McMaster. He called Lindsey Graham irreplaceable, calling him one of the fiercest fighters for South Carolina and America, and a loyal and steadfast friend. The governor added, may God hold him gently in the palm of his hand. We shall not see his likes again. Well, Senator Lindsey Graham spent more than 3 decades in public service, but his story began in the upstate. The Seneca native and 2-time University of South Carolina graduate grew to become one of the Palmetto State's most influential and recognizable political figures. We sent News 19's Kiki Gushu to Central South Carolina, where Graham has deep ties. Kiki, what are folks in his hometown saying about this loss?
Whitney, I'm here in Central off East Main Street, and actually right behind me is a place where Senator Lindsey Graham spent his early years. It's now a Mexican restaurant and gastro pub, but it was previously several different restaurants, and it actually was owned by Graham and his family for many, many years. Now, a little bit earlier today, I got to head out into the community and talk with some folks, just kind of getting their reaction and sudden shock at the loss of Lindsey Graham. Now, he was really connected here in this community, and I actually spoke with Representative Philip Bowers, who talked about, his long-standing connections here in this town. I want you to go ahead and take a listen to him.
I've known Lindsey most of my life. He actually is from Central, the area, one of the areas I represent, and he graduated Daniel High School with one of my brothers. So we go back a long ways. He'll be missed. Just condolences to Darlene and the rest of the family. We'll be praying for him, and it's going to be a tough time. So death is always hard, but sudden like this makes it really difficult. So.
Citizens and leaders alike here, many people saying whether they agreed with the senator politically or not, today is about remembering a man who will never forget his roots. Some say they plan to continue honoring Senator Graham's memory, especially keeping his family in their thoughts and prayers. Now, it was definitely a feeling of shock here in Central and Seneca as the news kind of broke today throughout the morning and into the afternoon. A lot of shock, but again, people saying putting their political beliefs aside and mourning the loss of a senator and South Carolinian. I'm live here in Central. Kiki Gushu, News 19, WLTX.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kiki. A shock not only being felt here in South Carolina, but across the nation and the world. Well, former President Joe Biden also reacting to the news of Senator Graham's death, saying, Lindsey and I did agree on the profound importance of public service. Like me, he loved the Senate as an institution, even with all its flaws and complexities. To his family, his staff, his constituents in South Carolina, and everyone who loved him, Jill and I are keeping you in our prayers. And former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley also reacting to this news, saying, quote, Lindsey loved South Carolina deeply. There was never a day he stopped fighting for the people of our state. Through his military service and years in public office, he gave his all to protect America and our freedom-loving allies. He was truly one of a kind. Michael and I are lifting up Darlene and his entire family in prayer during this difficult time. Well, this afternoon, we are also hearing from U.S. Congressman James Clyburn saying, quote, I was shocked and saddened to learn of the passing of Senator Graham. Our political relationship was sometimes partisan and passionate, but always pleasant and productive. On behalf of the people of South Carolina, my family and I send our deepest condolences to Darlene and the entire Graham family. He went on to say, for more than 3 decades, we served the people of the Palmetto State together in Congress. Throughout that time, we maintained a relationship grounded in mutual respect, even when our political differences were significant. His commitment to public service and the people he represented will remain an enduring part of his legacy. Well, we are continuing to get local reaction from people right here in the Midlands about Senator Graham's death. We want to go ahead and send things over now to News 19's Josie Frost, who is live outside of the State House. Josie?
That's right, Whitney. We have seen tributes and reactions that have been pouring in from leaders across the state, as you mentioned, including the governor, who this morning ordered for flags to be at half-staff in South Carolina. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see the flag here at the State House. It will be like this, as well as several other state buildings across the state will be having flags at half-staff today. The governor, in his statement, said it was in recognition of Graham's extraordinary legacy and a lifetime of dedicated service. Now, there have been reactions pouring in from state leaders and lawmakers as well. The Senate Republican caucus earlier today shared a statement with me, said, we join the rest of South Carolina and America in mourning the tragic loss of our friend and longtime Senator Lindsey Graham, and we pray for his family. Now, of course, Graham's passing puts us in looking forward into the into the future, which is an election process that is upcoming. Now, this is going to be very quick, I'm told. From now over the next couple months, the governor will be appointing his own appointment that will serve out the remainder of Graham's term. But as we move into the next couple months, we are going to be looking at a special election that is happening. Now, I got a chance to talk to a political science professor earlier today who shared just how quick that election process is going to go and what that's going to mean politically. Take a listen. I believe we'll be getting that soundbite for you later. But as I mentioned, it is going to be a very quick process as we go into this special election over the next couple of weeks. And I'm told that will mean for these candidates that they have to move very quickly. Now, coming up in the next couple hours, as I will be talking to you, I'm going to be talking with the state elections director about what the preparation process is going to look like for the next couple days. I'm told they are already in the beginning of that. So I will be keeping you updated on that. Whitney.
Judicial order. Data from the Senate cannot be released by
All right, thank you so much, Josie. We appreciate you, and we will be hearing from Dr. Chase Myers in about 10 minutes. Now, earlier this morning, reporters went to Senator Graham's church in Seneca, where they spoke with Pastor Tim Tate about the man he knew, both as a congregant and a friend.
I was privileged to be able to be his friend, to know him, to spend some time with him, sit around the table with him. And one thing that really stands out is his love for our country. He loved America through and through.
And the other pastor was talking about how he was unhappy with how some things were going in the world right now. Did he ever share that with you or talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it was always America first for him. And so when things weren't going that way, and he worked hard. He worked hard to change that.
And the loss of having him in Washington, he's such a figure for people who live around here.
Yeah.
What are you hearing from the church members and what are they saying?
Yeah, again, I think right now, just a shock, just a sadness, really not a lot of political talk at all, just heavy hearts.
And Darlene, tell us about her presence here, how often you see her and what you want
Yeah, she doesn't live around here, but I spoke with her earlier, and again, we asked that, our church and everyone who is a believer to pray for their family, because again, nobody's seen it coming, and it's just such a shock. So yeah, we're just going to be praying for Darlene and her family and trying to offer them support here as a church the best we can.
Well, many are wondering what happens next with Senator Lindsey Graham's seat. Well, under South Carolina law, Governor McMaster will appoint a temporary U.S. senator to represent the state in Washington. That person will serve until a successor is elected. Because Graham had already won the Republican primary, state law requires a special Republican primary to choose a new nominee. Candidate filing will open 2 weeks after the vacancy, followed by a special primary and, if needed, a runoff. If the winner is certified in time, they'll appear on the November ballot. If not, the seat will be filled in a special election after the general election.